Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks in another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at a game that was sent on over to the Discord channel. A bit of a longer match between a little bit of some lower level players. They're going to be showing us how maybe they've gotten better at the game, or maybe how they've gotten worse as we dive into this match that was played on everybody's favorite Rosetta, a map featuring tons of metal, tons of start positions that are very peculiar, shall we say, at the very least, and lots of opportunity for each commander to show themselves. Yeah, to give us a little bit of a taste of exactly what they're up to today. So I'm very excited to dive right into this game here. And spawning, whoa, a little bit of chuggy there, is our red team Cortex leader. It's going to be none other than Rowan Morse, clocking in at 50.85 open skill. Now, I have been warned that this match at a glance looked extremely imba, but apparently it was still quite cast-worthy. So I'm holding out my restraint, right? My imba restraint, my need to call out imbalance when I see it. I'm suspending my disbelief for just a minute here as our 50 open skill red hero goes ahead and puts down that Cortex bot lab in the backline right here. Meanwhile, spawning all the way across the map, there he is, right up there on the front line right there. As the blue team leader, it's gonna be none other than Creeps. There he is. Yeah, whoops. A little too fast. There we are. Sensitive camera right here. I'm working on the camera smoothing settings next. I've been changing the video settings. Let me know if this video looks nice and pretty by liking and subscribing, and most importantly, commenting down below. Always love to meet new folks joining the Brightworks each and every single day. You can also join the Discord, which is always linked down below as well. And there's a lot of fun folks playing the live streams every Saturday, 12 to 4 PDT, if you'd like to join up there. But enough advertising for all the Brightworks stuff and things. We've got our red hero, who does have this 10 metal per second metal extractor spinning away. I mean, look at how fast that thing moves. I never really understood why the speed of the mechs, I mean, aside from, like, as a visual cue, why the speed of the mechs was tied to how much metal it pulls out. Maybe it's kind of like you spin it at the maximum rate that it can extract metal, and there's so much metal here, so much bismuth, that you can actually, you can spin it a lot faster to extract a lot more. Kind of feels like you should cover this entire area in metal extractors, doesn't it? Anywho, construction turret coming up very quickly right here for the blue commander, as well as a whole bunch of solar panels, and I love to see it. This is a surprisingly solar-heavy map, one that definitely features, I mean, primarily solar panels. Wind speed is pretty terrible, ranging from 0 to 10. I mean, even at its highest, it's not very efficient. It's not worth risking it. Most of these commanders are just going to go ahead and play with solar panels. Commanders like, for instance, Palace, the 29 open skill green commander. Creeps 30 open skill, by the way. Did I mention that? 30 open skill and whiffed 2 D-guns there as the Blitz does manage to get away with it. I think the incisors will clean up all the rest of this. Yeah, very nice. Incisors are so good. Okay. Well, we've met our players. We've done a little tour of the map. There's also one more key feature to point out is, of course, these rocks around. If we go ahead and enter our metal vision here, we can see 150 metal there, 100 metal there. We have, what is it, 150 metal here. Seems to range between 100 and 150 metal for all these rock piles, but it does mean that at the very least, these commanders that are going into vehicles, well, they're going to have a slightly harder time reclaiming all this, as opposed to the commanders like the red commander. So greedy. Look at this. The red com Rowan Morris says, I don't think my team needs that metal. I think I could use that metal a little bit better than they could. It's a cocky play, because if it works out, then maybe you will get that T3 out ever so slightly faster, 2, maybe 3 minutes faster. It scales pretty heavily. But it also means that all of a sudden you're denying your enemy, or your teammate rather, about, I don't know, 300 or so metal from the front line? Ugh. Feels a little bit suspect, I can't lie. Also, a little bit concerned about the situation going on right here. We have a bunch of walls set up on this high ground, or this, well, ramp to the high ground right here. If we go ahead and select one of these and hit this button, you can see the traversability map. So we have covered most of the map as far as the front goes, but obviously it just means we're going to be deflecting these units into the teammates, right? We're going to be sending them north, and we're going to be sending them south. All the green is where you can move those units. Not a very colorblind friendly map, huh? Apologize to all the colorblind enthusiasts out there enjoying bar and not enjoying that 3 or 4 seconds. Engagement shaping up on the northern side here is Stump Chuggins, the brilliantly named Cyan hero at 20 open skill and 4 chevrons, starts to march forward those thugs. Met in kind here by the D-Devil, 13 open skill, New Zealand, right? Oh, I hope I got the right flag. I've made a good habit of not guessing flags anymore. Pretty easy this go around though. I'm not sure about this one. If this is your flag, Show some pride in the chat. Comment down below what this flag is. No idea what any of these ones are, though. Yeah. I think that one's Canada. Thugs here are going to be battling it out on the northern side. It looks like, yeah, D-Devil has got the commander up here to repair, as well as... Actually, we're going to build some walls, which is kind of interesting. Okay, we'll check back in on this in just a second. We have also got some of these very, very nice Legion ballistas moving forward. Their rockets are, I've been told, slightly faster, and they definitely do hit a little bit harder. Makes them a dangerous unit to go up against on the front line because it really doesn't take too long for them to trade out very efficiently. They're also one of those units, like most Legion units, that can be over-microed really, really easily. If you move them around too much, you can see how long it takes them to rotate that giant cannon atop their shoulder, and they can very easily not fire when they have plenty of rockets charged. But okay, little run-by is dealt with over here. Looks like we do have T2 flying around, by the way. We have the transporting, rather, that T2 constructor over to the Brown Commander, looking to set up that 40 metal per second metal extractor. I mean, this is essentially what you want to do. Yeah, Commander needs to turn around and help with that. Oh, okay, actually, we're just gonna tap the mechs and then pick up the con and move elsewhere. Okay. This is an extremely APM-intensive way of doing this, but if you have the APM to spare, it can be quite effective. Meanwhile, a couple of Satyr do manage to make it past the initial defenses and pop into the backline. Only 1.0 mechs is right here, and they have stalled out orders-wise, and so they were no longer going to be doing any serious damage in the backline. I think the Thugs will clean this up nicely. Did we save that mechs? We sure did. Okay, great. Loads of metal right here for the Brown Commander and E-stall, if ever I've seen one, and certainly I see a whole lot of them. I E-stall all the time in my own games. It's really difficult, especially when you're playing these maps that have really huge single-point metal extractors. Super, super difficult to not E-stall because you're not used to having that much metal income all focused very, very early on like that. It means the best of the best can use it to scale like madmen, but it also makes it very difficult when you're, you know, a little newer to the game and suddenly trying to learn a very different way of eco-scaling rather than the slow and steady gradual gains of things like Supreme Isthmus or... I guess, for instance, things like all the glitters. You know, I was thinking about it, and Supreme Isthmus really doesn't have any mechs play to it. Like, the only people who actually actively fight over any mechs are the mid lane players. Because the naval players almost always go uncontested. The shore lane players always go uncontested. And then the backline is just the backline. There's a couple of mechs around, but once those are eaten up, I mean, it's like 4 per player, more or less. 5 per player, I think. Are those sparks? Oh, look at that. The shield makes little sparks before it comes back. That's adorable. Oh, I love the little details that are being added to Legion all the time. I'm finding little things to sidetrack myself from the sidetrackings. Meanwhile, we've got a killer bombing coming across the map right here. A whole bunch of T1 bombers headed towards the red AGO. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the reason why the AGO is so dangerous, of course, is because just a couple of these T1 bombers already have this down to about 60% HP. Repair here to try and get this back up to full HP. Anti-air turret is thrown together too, and the fighters, okay, fighters do get in on some of the action and eventually shoot those bombers down. Definitely a close call, a clincher there for the Red Commander. Oh, okay. Bomber kills some of those E-converters with its corpse. Not the end of the world, but annoying. You are relying on those E-converters for a little bit of extra metal per second. Again, it all adds up. Banishers firing away into the distance. They'll love to see that. Thugs just lending a little bit of sturdiness to this front line. Man, that one's cannons are all out of whack. A 1% HP Thug does not look comfortable. Take a look at that. Hold on. Take a look at the visuals on this guy. Look how crooked he is. My goodness. That is a hero right there. Hold on. I want to like ultra close up of this guy. Yeah. Poor fella came out the lab a little wrong. Oh no. Well, anyway. Deformed thugs or not, we're gonna keep on taking a look here. The northern side crying out loud for a little bit of support right here, as is exactly the case 100% of the time here on this map. There's always an imba on this map. The northern side weaker here for the red team, the southern side weaker for the blue team, or should be anyway for the blue team. Actually holding and pushing quite tremendously on that southern side. T2 vehicles now rolling out of the lab on the southern side for the red commander. And HLT coming up right here. You know, it's a nice HLT. Sheldon don't care. The thugs don't even care, and the Sheldon care even less than that. Yeah, I mean, sure. Just start firing at the commander, basically. Every one of these volleys chipping away at a little bit of that commander health. Boom goes the maroon commander. as all of a sudden those Sheldon had mixed in with the thugs. What a brutal combination right here. Not really anything that hard counters this. The thugs in this many numbers are going to be really difficult to stop no matter what you build. Fiends probably would be the best option, but not actually fighting with them, but just self-destructing them. Excuse me. I do believe that a self-destructed Fiend is basically enough to one-shot a thug. Some Martyrs crashing into these units with their miniature condensed matter projectile warhead thing strapped to their, really basically their entire chassis built around, rather. We've arrived at that pivotal moment in a Rosetta game where the northern side here, the weaker side for the red team, does fall. However, we'll peel our eyes away. Oh, hold on 1 second. Nice Martyr connection there on the Sheldon. We'll peel our eyes away here to go take a look at the southern side, where actually we still have a tremendous hold. Yeah, that's a couple of Banishers right here have done so much work at blasting away at this T1 stuff. Stray Missile does still connect with the composition. We've got the Agitator on the high ground. Makes it so awkward to push forward here. Jenna Tolles, lovely name right there on the Powder Blue Commander, who is, yeah, going to be going for a T2 lab right here, but has already won the push. No T2 to get these mexes up and running is a little bit rough. We also have the metal in the rocks not reclaimed yet. We do have T2 up and running right here for the Green Commander. Actually going to go into the Mantis first thing. Very cool drone carrier vehicle. Carries these miniaturized little drones that fly around and fire their little machine guns. Almost more of a scouting tool, really, more than anything else, but these need to head up to the front. I don't see a reason to keep these idle in the back line. This base has all but been obliterated. There is basically nothing left here of the Orange Commander. I mean, we have, or pardon me, of the Maroon Commander. There's actually exactly nothing left. No, never mind. One Hero Constructor, as well as a T1 Constructor. Retreating for their lives, off to rebuild the Maroon Empire. The Maroon 2. Not nearly as popular as the 5. Wow, thugs are impressing me today, certainly. Mosquitoes in the air firing away their little pesky missiles whenever they get the chance, but you can see it's not a ton of damage. About 3% every time they hit one of the thugs with it. Sheldon here also doing decent work. Not an efficient trade, though. 410 metal versus 240. Build power in a little bit of trouble. Northern side, completely crumbled. Absolutely crippled beyond repair here. We do have the T2 Con a little bit AFK. That is a bummer for Stump Chuggins, the Cyan hero, as it were. Banishers now moving out through the midsection here. We do have that T2 Mex, which is really quite nice. Just checking in on that here for a second. Banishers, yeah, firing into the distance. Connecting mostly with a bunch of T1, but here the Tiger tanks will clean up the rest of that Jeff. And frankly, every one of these missiles that fires away is well worth it. It's not like this costs anything to recharge or fire. Not like other weapons like the Starlight, for instance, or I believe some of the energy weapons out of the Legion faction, the heat ray weapons, take some energy as well. Banishers don't really have those associated costs. They're basically free value, as long as they're firing and as long as they're out of range of the enemy. Pink base now ravaged right here as well by the Cyan Commander. That's 2 bases already down. We do have the Con eating up a bunch of metal, so that's very nice. At the very least, funding some of this T2 production. But my goodness, I haven't seen a single Fiend on the southern side. We've just spammed Sheldon over and over again. I saw a comment that was actually beautifully put, and it was like, it was something to the effect of watching somebody throw paper at scissors and not clicking the rock button. I love that analogy. I think that's great. That's exactly what we're looking at here. Mosquitoes being used to counter the thugs is like the most awkward solution to the thugs walking into the base. Technically a solution. But yeah, not really an elegant one, not a quick one. Fiends would have melted all this down very, very fast. Thugs now marching into the base of MX Pal, who no longer has energy to actually sustain any of this. Yeah, E-scaling was very poor here.
Destroyed.
Brown Commander does go down. Solar panels pop. What a mixed bag of experience this match is. What a crazy mixed bag here. The 30 OS, it turns out a generally well-distributed OS, or game understanding rather, is a little bit better than one extremely heavy hitter and the rest of the team functionally being a little bit unaware of what they should be doing at this point. The Orange Commander I was begging to make Fiends is a 17 open skill 1 Chevron hero. That means, if you ever see that, by the way, that means this person just picked up the game. I believe you get your second Chevron at 5 hours. So this is a brand newbie here. Welcome to Beyond Our Reason. This is the unit you want to make. It's called the Fiend, and it does tons of damage, and if you hit, well, if you select it and hit Control D to self-destruct it, it does a giant explosion around it, and it will take out basically anything that it's standing nearby. You can imagine the micro potential in that. But now we have Banishers, Sheldon, Grunts, Lashers, all kinds of stuff in the
destroyed.
back line here. We do have the Pink Commander, meanwhile, going down to just some regular T1 chaff is kind of funny. Whoa, Banisher missiles firing right next to our head. But look at that. I mean, there we go. Twin Guard now going to fall here as well. The defense was set up. Well, maybe not. Yeah, good repair. Twin Guards are quite powerful. Powerful enough, it would seem. Okay, with a decent repair there, as well as, yeah, just some reinforcing fire here from Sheldon's. The Twin Guard will manage to hold on. Banishers, oh, if they can only target onto this AGO. They're more preoccupied with the Quakers over here, which I think is not a terrible idea. The AGO is obviously a juicy target, though, so you can imagine. The blue commanders are eager to get their hands on it. Oh, a couple of fiends sneaking into the backline. Again, we built a ton of Sheldon, but we aren't spreading them. We aren't really deploying them to the right position here. I don't blame people for picking up Cortex and going into Sheldons. I would say 8 out of 10 times you've done the correct thing, if that's what you've done. We've even mixed in some anti-air bots, so I really can't fault the Orange Commander here. Unfortunately, there isn't an enemy air player. At the very least, they haven't been very active on the map. Caster Curse, though, is we do actually have some gunships moving out now. Some Shurikens as well have managed to paralyze this tank and will continually be paralyzing whatever they can to try and shuttle this down. The T1 Legion fighters are actually startlingly effective. For the longest time, everyone thought they were atrocious. Turns out they weren't making enough of them. Yeah. You don't want 2 times as many of them. You want 4 times as many of them. You pay quite a bit more metal, but you will win the fight by tons and tons. I mean, you will lose a quarter of your fighters. They will lose all of theirs. But you will have effectively spent twice the metal. Essentially, you could kill their air army twice over, and it would still be metal efficient. Doing the quick math here, so pardon me if it's not 100% accurate, but very, very quick math. What a mess this game has turned into. There's the drones, by the way. Oh, love that. Drones being used to snipe the commander. Super pesky. Anti-air bots are mixed in here, so the drones can't really do that much damage. At the very least, those drones do have to go back and get repaired every once in a while. You can see they come back to the lab, and then they sit down and fold their wings in and get repaired here. But we have a good vehicle composition as well. We have the Prometheus heavy assault heat ray tanks, as well as some of these gladiators, all in composition. Very powerful to deal with. And the Mantis is using up tons of metal and energy right here. The eco-scaling, I mean, it's all right here, but the Green Commander has not gone for the AGO yet. If we had the AGO up and running, I think it wouldn't be an issue, but the fact that it's still down right now does mean that this is a bit of a problem. Red Commander, however, is going greedy sauce, will be getting into that T2 advanced fusion reactor here, scaling the build power, scaling the aphyses, trying to get that economy up and running. Meanwhile, oh my goodness, just a sheer force of numbers of medium tanks moving forward. What is a collective group of brutes called? An evisceration of brutes. An overwhelming of brutes. Miniaturized Calamity tech mounted on this truck chassis here. Firing away into the distance whenever it gets a chance, anyways. Tremors are one of the units in the Cortex roster. One of the few units in the Cortex roster that suffer heavily from over micro. One of those things that's nice about playing Cortex as your beginner faction is that they don't need super careful micro. You can ball your Sheldon up and it doesn't really matter. You can kind of just drive Tremors, or rather Banishers and Tigers around, and they'll just get value. You don't have to worry about spacing and precise positioning nearly as much. All their indirect fire weapons are quite good at hitting their targets, whether you micro them correctly or not. Suiting, I would say, for the direct fire, or the direct confrontation faction. The brute force faction, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. We are looking for something a little bit sturdier here. I think sumos, maybe even mammoths, wouldn't be a bad idea. Brand Commander trying to get this AGO. In fact, it's only 20 seconds out here, so that's going to be a nice energy spike right now. We actually can't spend our metal. Yeah, the 17 OS Commander actually neglecting build turrets. Okay. Learning opportunity right here in the T1 Constructors inventory in their build menu here in the buildings section. There's this, the construction turret with 200 build power. It is 2/3 the build power of a commander, quite a bit more build power than any of the constructors. You put these around your laboratory and it assists with spending your metal. Important to know. Very, very important if you ever want to get into higher level Beyond All Reason. You could, of course, always build a dozen more labs, but it's very inefficient. You know, that was the effective strategy in other similar games, but not the case here. It's really a Cortex versus Legion wasteland here. Not a lot of Armada showcasing.
Commander has died.
Lavender Commander does fall on the front lines. What an excellent combined force right here, though. The Hot Pink Commander has got Sheldons, what are they? Tigers, Punishers, Banishers. That's right, not Punishers. Is there a unit called a Punisher? Oh, I'm pretty good about the unit names usually, but I feel like there isn't one, and I made that up completely. Devs, if you're out there listening to this, feel free to take that name. Use it on some sort of Cortex tank. My preferred tank, of course, would be a basically a Banisher, except it fires a cluster missile up in the air. Gunship's doing a great job here, actually. Yeah, Gunships and Shuriken, making very short work of all this. Okay. Resbot's already moving in. Are we resurrecting or reclaiming? Oh, we are actually resurrecting. Okay.
Commander has
Not a bad idea, I don't think. Commander goes up in smoke on the southern side here. Again, giant Sheldon ball being built up here. Mantis drone's super pesky, though. You know what? One of the nice things about these Mantis drones, something I totally hadn't thought about, but is super annoying, is that those will waste the missiles of the Banishers. If you're sending units in and you don't want them to get hit by the Banisher missiles, yeah, sending those in can be an excellent choice. Orange Commander does die on this northern side, quite unfortunately. The heavy gunship transport here, cleaning some of these up, does actually a moderate amount of damage. In swarms, these can be effective enough to even kill T3. Their shotgun quite effective against bigger targets as well, of course, so they scale with the size of their opponent, which is not common in Beyond All Reason, but it is something to be aware of. Not bad, though. Reminds me of a Pelican. Swarm of goblins.
Commander has died.
You know, I would say just futilely sprinting forward, but they actually managed to do some friendly fire damage here. I don't mind that at all. Blue army, looking fantastic. Again, it's Banisher balls. We're back to Banisher balls. Say that 10 times fast. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a play. Heavy bombers coming in. Dropping that payload right on top of the powder blue base. Not bad. We were moments away from the advanced geo coming up and running here for the green commander as well. 17 seconds on that bad boy. I don't think it's gonna matter. The bombers do connect. Not a lot of build power to target back here. The fighters also sweep a lot of these away. Ooh, T2 lab. Oh, it just barely survives. 29% HP on that laboratory. I think one or two more bombers might have been able to take that out. But they do go down. Okay, so far 2 for 2 on bombing runs that fizzled out just moments before they got their value. Oh, Hero Fiend in the backline, gonna chip away at these metal extractors until eventually they are dust. Gunships taking heavy hits from the Banishers. Those do serve as anti-air in a crude way. Really wouldn't mind assisting these players by just sending in T1 fighters, though, to waste those Banisher missiles again. Anytime you see Banishers on the field, anything you can do to make them shoot at something that isn't valuable, almost always going to help your teammates out a ton. I think the drones have got to be the most elegant solution, though. For 15 metal apiece and 500 energy, and of course you can just put a bunch of these in the front and they'll just spawn continuously. They're a very, very wonderful solution to the Banisher issue. The combined force here of Prometheus tanks as well as the Gladiators is really nice. Gladiators with tons of range and the Prometheus, of course, with tons of health. Means these complement each other nicely. Really, we should see the Gladiators in the back, but this was a decent push right here. Thinning out the army of the Yellow Commander, making it a little bit more awkward to hold on. Okay. A swarm of bombers taking to the skies. We can have a look as these bombers make their run against the Blue Commander. AA trucks shooting them down as fast as they can. Blue Commander in trouble. Oh no, is this the last commander? Second to last. The red team down to just a single commander. The blue team still with 2 commanders on the field, although Creeps is super exposed.
Commander
Yeah, Banisher
has
Missile
died.
does connect over there. Okay, both teams down to just a commander apiece. Where are they is the big important question. We have got for the... standing right next to the AGO here is Chromed, the tan commander, the final commander for the red team. And on the other side of the map, let's see, where are they? It's always like a game of Where's Waldo. There they are. NT Guardian, the green commander. Okay, at the very least, realizing this commander is the vulnerable soft spot rather for the blue team and hiding it in the backline with the radar jammer. Okay, nice. Nicely done. Won't even mind seeing a couple of those radar jammers. Arbiters firing their missiles. Not many of them will connect, but the few that do a stupid amount of damage. Shiva's now coming across the map. Those T3 Walker bots, T3 assault mechs, siege mechs. Yep, those are scout point. Oh no, those are bombers, pardon me. Bombers, wow, finding a giant T1 solar panel farm. Fusion's up and running here for the blue commander. Yeah, scaling that eco like it's nobody's business. Gunships in the air. You can see how much damage they do. It's about 20% for a volley from 5 of these. Really, when uncontested, they can do just ridiculous damage. Chromed, oh no. Chrome doesn't realize it's the last commander. 50% HP on the very last commander, down to 36. Begins to walk away finally, but the Shiva are already here. Oh, did we notice? I don't think we noticed. Stump Chuggins doesn't realize how close he was to ending the game right there. Just a couple of stray projectiles could have killed this commander. Luckily, Chrome managed to pull it away at the very last second right there. Scorpion turret's quite good. They did blast down a bunch of those Shiva, but still. It only takes a few of those plasma projectiles to kill a commander, and even some of the missiles were connecting at some point. We've got bombers coming in. Oh, nice bombing run right here. They found the fusion reactors for the blue commander. Boom goes the fusion stack. I believe that was 5 fusion reactors up in smoke right there for our blue hero. All of a sudden, the energy production has got to look abysmal. Advanced solars, yeah. Going from 5,000 to 500 energy per second is pretty bad. Resbot's gonna be a important choice here. Get that fusion back up and running, or at the very least get a teammate to lend you some power. The blue team with an overwhelming advantage at this point, though. 77% energy advantage and a 30-ish% metal advantage, plus or minus with some reclaim. The red team is looking for a Hail Mary, and I think that's exactly what these scouts are going out for. Fighters catch the majority of them. Fighters and anti-air all over the place right here, so I don't think those scouts are really going to get much important information. We only have 1 APHIS up and running for the red commander. Didn't go too greedy on the APHIS, which is good to see, but it does, well, it's a little concerning into the late game here. Resurrected commander for the red team does mean that we at the very least have an extra life. How much metal was that? Oh, that's huge. Yeah, 15 or so thousand metal here on this field. Getting resbots or T1 aircraft even, just to go reclaim some of that. It's an easy way to take your struggling T2 economy into a thriving T3 economy. Love the conversion to the Cerberus here. Mantises, still menacing on the front line, but I think we're ready to go into T3 at this point. Yeah, we do have some of those Myrmidon. Myrmidani Vermilions. That's boring science stuff. Crawling out of the laboratory, they've got that cluster munitions cannon mounted atop their Scarab chassis, and then they've also got the 2 drone heliports where they can launch little heat ray drones out onto the battlefield and do a bunch of damage with those. Most conveniently, they can do flanking damage, which is really useful. Blue commander down over here. Where are our resbots? We want resbots to, well, reclaim anyway, so we may as well use them to resurrect a commander or two, too. 2 red commanders versus just 1 for the blue. We're starting to think about game enders here, game-winning options. A couple of them, well, we've already scouted for nukes. The scouting planes have gone out across the map, and they've taken a look across here, and they have seen relatively shy anti-nuke coverage here for, at the very least, the southern side of this map. Really, that's all you need. If you can take out both of these players, then you can walk your units into the backline and start doing serious damage. That is an option. The other, of course, is just to go crazy with the eco. Just start building more and more advanced fusions and eventually more and more of everything. Spamming out bombers, T3 units. Demons, very powerful too. They're fast enough on a small map like this to breach these front lines quite effectively. The Red Commander doing a wonderful job of reclaiming the mexes here too. These 3.2s, or 3.0s rather, very valuable to pop a metal extractor on, giving you a whopping 12 metal per second. Bulwark here. I love the strategic bulwark on the hill. We have spam incoming here. I like that idea. We're going to be using the Twitchers to build laboratories and spam out a whole bunch of grunts to the front. The Myrmidon now fire. Oh no, actually those aren't the Myrmidon. Those are just good old-fashioned cleavers. Probably the coolest artillery truck in the game. Not generally speaking the most effective though. New mammoths sounding very sexy as well. Yeah, Myrmidon will eventually get into this fight, but it is a little bit suspect because, well, obviously, as the Myrmidon numbers grow, it puts a little more pressure on the red team here, and it might trigger the all-in that could spell the end of this southern side. The Myrmidons really couldn't hold this army back if it was to push, I don't think. These mammoths are essentially unstoppable. At this point, we've got a whopping 7 of them. I really wouldn't mind seeing those mammoths start to crawl forward here. So far, they've just been taking a beating. The use of the drones for scouting is really nice, though. The grunt spam going to be semi-countered, actually, by the drones here, yeah. Just the fact that we have the drones providing constant vision means that we can essentially continue firing the artillery accurately the entire time. Scouts coming across right here for the Green Commander, looking to open up some avenues of attack. Do we have any nuclear options available? I don't see any yet. Always keeping my eyes peeled for those nukes, because those can change the face of a game quite rapidly. And the red team is completely unprotected. Tank Commander with no anti-nuke, Pink Commander with no anti-nuke. This northern side, well, it was ravaged 3 or 4 times over, so of course it doesn't have any anti-nuke. We have got a couple T1 anti-air bots and a few T2 anti-air bots, but I would kind of like to see a little more. Are we still going for T3 out of this gantry? We are. We're going for Javelin. The eco-scaling could do better, though. Time to get into an APHIS, I think, at this point. About 40 metal per second that the APHIS gives you. We're setting up nicely for the biggest yin-yang ever, though. Yellow's force is being distracted slightly, though, as the green move northward here. Gunships trying their best. Not finding altogether too much value. A couple of Chimera turrets put in strategic positions here as well. What a stalemate. Both of these teams, neither of them wanting to push too hard. Bombers making a try. Shiva thinking about stepping on the northern side here. Oh, man. The mammoths really want to make this push happen, but they're so slow, and the fact that these drones can just fire away out of cover from the anti-air here, yeah, it wasn't brought with the mammoths. Oh no. The drones are actually doing so much damage here, not from their own cannons, but from the fact that they will activate the flanking, meaning that a lot of the enemy projectiles will be doing 60 to 90% extra damage. Big old T3 battle up here on the northern side as well. Shivas and Karganeth here for the blue commander versus just Shivas. We do have a Tyrannus coming out here. Tyrannus are not really meant as a frontline brawling unit, though. You really want to use these for assaulting enemy bases from vulnerable air positions. It has a lot of range, so it can fire away quite nicely, but ultimately you do have to be careful about how you use those. Drones continuing to fire away here. Moving out into the distance. I really love the Legion drones. I think the design is just so cool. I've always been a drone enjoyer whenever that's kind of the vibe of a faction. I like Zerg a lot for the same idea, right? Like all these very cheap disposable units. Legion definitely fits that niche quite nicely. Scratches the same itch. Cool to see, too, because we don't get a good chance to take a look at the Legion drones all too often, I feel like. It's rare you get a chance to watch an RTS develop before your eyes, but we are literally watching groundbreaking strategies made every single day here at the Brightworks. Good reason for you to like and subscribe. Yeah, great reason for you to like and subscribe. Stay up to date with all the most modern trends, blasting away your T2 constructors and whatnot. Really, neither of these teams willing or able to move. Looking at this graveyard right here, I mean, thousands and thousands of metal worth of mammoths and T3 units. Finally, the spam, I think, is overwhelming here. The Chimeras have their work cut out for them. Oh, there we go. Well, there's something a little more menacing. The demons and their flamethrowers making their way across the map. You see how quickly that T2 laboratory melted? That was like 3 seconds, and it was gone. Of course, the remainder of the base here stands even less of a chance. Gunships, dragons, all sorts of stuff, trying their best. Big fighter swarm to protect all of that, though. Are these the hero demons? Blue forces moving on the northern side. Red demons moving on the southern side. Our yin-yang has begun. We'll frame this up nicely here where we can see the blue in the backline starting to ravage a bunch of these bases while the demons begin to pop the entire green backline. All of the T3 production here for the southern side now gone in just a moment as the twin flamethrowers firing promethium or some other flammable substance
destroyed.
take out the entire backline. Beautiful stuff. I did hear a commander destroyed, though. Oh, no. Oh, wait a minute. Both the commanders are dead over here. Did we resurrect one? Oh, thank goodness. Doom you, the yellow commander, resurrected one. Saving the day right here. Otherwise, the red team would have gone up in smoke. Gunships to hold off the grunt spam while the T3 continue to chip forward. AGO pops right there, scuffing up the base. And the grunts are leaking in. Oh no, why didn't we start some statics? We need some static defense turrets. Ooh. E-converters pop. Shiva now have the range to start firing away with their missiles here. Demons eventually shut down in the backline, but this push has not been cleaned up yet. The swarm, ever encroaching. All of the grunts now spamming forward to try and shuttle this down. It's working, but very slowly. More of a deterrent, really, than anything else. I think this is about as close as it gets, though. Karganeth locked onto the Aphis. Boom goes the tan base, and the solar panels, and the mexes, and the wind turbines, and the build turrets, and all the rest of it. A giant crack in the armor, certainly. All of a sudden, things have become very complicated for the red team. We are, once again, looking for Hail Marys. 2 dead corpses right there. Would love to see red spots jumping on those about as quickly as we possibly could. The Battle of the Shivas is brutal, too. I would love to see more Karganeths. We do have a few mixed in here. Karganeths are the actual assault unit of the Cortex faction. Mixing those in will actually trade you really, really nicely against just an army of Shiva. Quite a bit more expensive, of course, but also... yeah, no commanders left. This is checkmate. This is absolutely checkmate right here. The Juggernaut has nothing to fear because, worst comes to worst, it gets degunned, and it reveals the last commander here on the red team. Yep, it's just going to step right into that base. Can we get a self-D, maybe? Wouldn't mind a self-destruct on the Juggernaut. Not that it's needed. I think this thing can just kill this base on its own. Yeah, but you want to deny that corpse, right? Doesn't matter. Juggernaut explodes. The hot pink base goes up in smoke. As the energy falls, all these energy weapons will have a hard time firing here as well. I don't know, we got 52,000 stored, so maybe not an issue. Not for now, anyway. The Tremors. The Waterfall Siege. The Tremors firing forward here just to, I guess, layer on some hurt. Mostly going to hurt their own units, I feel like. Ugh, yeah, boys. We're shooting ourselves. So what really did all that damage on the southern side amount to? It kind of seems like the answer is nothing. We didn't really have any forces to push. Yellow Commander finally has some aphises up and running. Didn't go for build power, just went for straight up constructors, which is interesting. Resbot's patching up an army over here. I do like the idea of resurrecting these Shiva and all the rest of this T3 just to try and get some value out of this push that was stopped here.
Commander self-destructed.
Oh, Commander self-deed, though. Wow. What a way to GG, but the red team throws in the towels. The yellow commander throws the commander away. Self-destructs it and manages to, well, close the game out. All right.
Battle ended.
Our blue heroes managed to take the game with overwhelming control and a stupendous hold on this southern side right here. The side that was supposed to crumble instead was the side that survived. And it definitely made all the difference. Thanks a ton for watching, folks. If you made it to the very end of this video, I sure hope you enjoyed. And more importantly than that, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And I will see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.